Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, slightly more serious subject than usual. We've got the new ICM, I say new, I'll come to that in a minute. The new ICM, the Ghost of Kyiv. And this is of course the Mig-29 Ukrainian Air Force jet fighter, the 1/72nd scale. Now, I say it's more of a serious subject because it is. We've got this very unfortunate war going on between Ukraine and Russia. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but there is this sort of legend stroke myth. I don't know which it is. I don't know any more than anybody else does. But the story went that on the first day of this conflict, 24th of Feb, was it 24th, 26th Feb? I'll lose the track. Anyway, the last week in Feb. First 48 hours that a Ukrainian pilot is alleged to have shot down, I think it was on the first day, but said to be 6 enemy aircraft, a combination of jets and helicopters, allegedly. Anyway, we don't know the truth of it, but if that was true, it would have made him the first fighter ace of the 21st century. And ICM, who were obviously are based in Kyiv, they're very much under risk, if you like. I'm glad to see that they're still with us. Very good manufacturer of model kits, so that's very nice to see that they're carrying on. Now this kit is in fact it's a reboxing with this sort of Ghost of Kyiv legend. It's a reboxing of a 2008 kit, so it's not new, and I think we have to manage expectations around that. And one of the purposes around the kit was that they were going to, I think they basically gave up all profit effectively. 50% of the proceeds of the kit goes to Ukrainian charities of various descriptions, which we won't get into, but obviously they are just covering their tooling costs alone, and then the customer effectively makes a donation, is the way it kind of works. But there we go. So let's have a look. It's actually very nice artwork, I've got to say. Zoom you in, and perhaps I should just add that there's a bit of writing on the side, so let's just actually have a look at that. I won't read it all out because it does go off on a bit of a sort of a morale boosting I won't say lecture, but it certainly goes off a little bit at a bit of a tangent. But it basically starts and says there are still debates whether the Ghost of Kyiv really exists. Can it be one person or the whole team? Some believe he died, but many say he ejected, or maybe it's just an inspiring story. Well, as I say, I'm not going to get into the details because I don't know them any more than most of the people do, really. Only the people concerned would know. But there was this story that this, I think he was a colonel. Anyway, the chap was shot down in the end, and they claimed it was him. We don't know the truth of it. We probably never will. So let's just stick to the kit and let's have a look at it. So it's on the side. It's got what appears to be one scheme, but it does in fact, I think, have markings that enable you to do. I think this is deliberate. It shows one, which was this number 19. Is it 19? Yeah, 19. Get to focus, that would help. But they've actually given you, I think, as I understand it anyway from the spec, it's got a host of different options in terms of the numbers, so the Ghost of Kyiv can be anybody sort of thing, So let's have a look at the kit. I think it's going to be a usual ICM box within a box, which I do like actually. It does mention on the side that it's going to come with this rather nice Ukrainian pixel camouflage. Now, I should just say before I finish opening the box, just zoom you in so you get a better look at this. This pixel camouflage can be very, very challenging, and that's putting it mildly. It is not easy to replicate if you're going to paint it, because it just involves masses of masking. But I have a sneaking suspicion that they may have thought of a way around that. So let's have a look what's actually in the box. Yeah. It's quite well sealed, I've got to say. They've packed it very well. Okay. Let's have a nosy inside. Yeah, box within a box, as we thought. Put that over there. It's safe. So I've got a feeling it's going to be fairly small. Whoa, there we go. Yuck in the box. Got it. Oh, there we go. And it is indeed quite a small sprue. Set of sprue. Instructions. And we put that box aside as well. Let's see what we have got here. Now then, they're usually very good with their data as well. And it's basically got the same write-up that was on the side of the box. It's basically lauding these pilots that are fighting for their country. And it says at the end about the kit, it says, in the Air Force of Ukraine, the Mig-29 is a significant part of the fighter fleet. Some of the aircraft have been upgraded, which has improved the composition of onboard electronic equipment. A characteristic external feature of the Ukraine Mig-29 is its grey pixel camouflage, which has become the kind of signature for these fighters. It's their trademark, if you will. So inside we've got some decals. Oops. Okay. Now it's not long ago that I built the Soviet Mig-25 Foxbar. I have to say it was a nice kit. I was 72nd as well, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So what have we got? Yes, I was right. It is multiple numbering system, so you can actually make it whichever aircraft you prefer, really. I didn't realise that Ukraine had these roundels. I didn't know they did that actually, sort of with their national two colours. It's like RAF style, but with their own colours for their national flag. And I have to say that you have to cut them out individually. I think those numbers to your own choice, because they're not actually separate. Can you see that? Yeah, you probably just see that they're all actually one decal, in fact. So you just need to snip them off as you require. We've got some nice instruments there as well, that helps you. And I've got to say that my experiences with the Mig-25 were that their decals are actually very, very good. You've just got to be a bit careful not to leave them in the water too long, because they have a habit of rolling up. Not too bad, not as bad as others I've seen in the past, but yeah, you can't, they're not Tamiya, you can't leave them in there. Dwell time is quite important. They need to be in for about a minute max, and after that you need to get them out. Now then, this is where I mentioned that I think they were going to help you with this pixelation, and I think they've done this really well. So they've actually provided decals, which is going to save you probably 20 hours of painting, maybe more. And if they're even shaped, look, to the wing shape, which is really cool. They've done that really well, actually. Just be careful with silvering though, because we have got, obviously because it's such a complex shape, you couldn't have this, see it there, so it's actually one big decal, this centre section. You couldn't have this separate, because it would just roll up or tear. So they've had to provide it with a big area in the middle where there is a carrier film. Be wary of that. You don't want your finish to be such that it's going to give any silvering problems, which are very likely if you're not careful. So the best thing to do, I suppose, would be, I guess, if you were to give it a good smooth gloss coat before you do the decaling, because otherwise there's a real risk with that you're going to get just that central area. And it is also on the wing here. It's not, you see, the trouble is it's not symmetrical by its very nature. And this one's got a lot of carrier film, this one hasn't, because it doesn't need it so much. So they've done it in a fairly intelligent way, but it doesn't get away from the fact that you could have it looking uneven and you could end up with silvering one side and not the other, so you've got to be very, very careful. So watch out for that. Let's have a look at the instructions, which look very small. Let's have a look at this. Oh yes, it's going to be a straightforward. Don't forget it's an old kit, so bear that in mind. We're dealing with sort of old school stuff here. It's just been reboxed for the occasion, shall we say. So, and of course these are in the Soviet Air Force as well, and the Russian Air Force, I guess, today. So we've got basically what looks like a fairly rudimentary seat and tub for the cockpit area, and again fairly simple, straightforward undercarriage, nose gear first and then your main gear. Here we have got, where my thumb is, you've got putting in that tub into the upper part of the fuselage, and it's a split, this is old school, isn't it, as I said. It's a split fuselage, which is going to give potential for seams where they meet, of course. I don't know how good the fit is. I suspect it's not going to be quite what we expect today, but as I said, bear in mind it's older. And then it's very simple, really. It's all done in fairly low part count. You're going to bring in your canopy, your wings are all in one piece, they come in, tail planes and vertical stabilisers all going in, engines, they're in 2 pieces but they go in there. And then you've got your air-to-air missiles, and you've got some FOD covers. Is that FOD cover or is that ramp? I think it's a FOD cover. I think it's quite hard to tell really. FOD covers, and then ultimately in the last section you've got all the ancillary parts. You know, you put your undercarriage on, your pitot head on the nose, gear bay, doors, and bringing in all your landing gear, gluing those in, and a little bit of what's that? A little bit of actuators that are operating the doors themselves. All very straightforward stuff, and that's really it. And then you've got your colour call out on the back, which is actually very nice, and it does show off this the decals. As I say, the real risk here is you probably need to gloss this model up to get those decals. They need to be a really good contact to avoid the silvering, especially in areas here and here. Those are the real danger points on this kit for sure. So just be aware. But looks really nice, doesn't it? It's a good looking plane, the Mig-29. I always liked it actually. I've never actually built one before, so I might build this. I can't decide whether I'm going to build it or I don't know. I might auction it off or something, charity or something, who knows. Let's have a look. We have got 1 bag of sprues, and I think there's actually 1, 2, 3 sprues, plus, yeah, 3 plus clear. So it's fairly simple, straightforward. Nice resealable bags of course, which is always nice. And we have got, first of all, the main sprue that contains the fuselage, and I've got to say that's a little bit nicer than I was expecting. I'd heard that this, you know, it was old and you know it's not gonna be great, and etc, etc. But actually, the detail here is really rather good. They've got the grills, the cooling grills at the top of the engine. I say cooling grills; they're actually alternative like ram intake, so they can vary the amount of air coming in, I think, aren't they, on the Mig-29. But the detail is actually surprisingly good. The surface isn't quite as finessed, as you can see there, as it is on the modern kits, but it's actually completely smooth. It's just the way it looks. It's just the way it looks. You can't feel anything, it's smooth as silk. So it's actually slightly better than I was expecting there. Underneath, somebody said, I don't know how, I don't like this though, the way they've stepped the nose. They put a step in it as well, as if having it top and bottom wasn't bad enough. That's going to give issues. You're going to end up with some filler having to be used, I'll almost guarantee it. So be wary there. On the other side here, that's the other side of the step here. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. But somebody had said, I can't think where I read this, it may have been on a forum somewhere. But somebody had said actually it's not quite the same as the original release because they have got more detail in the gear bays. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that looks quite decent, doesn't it? And I say, although it's got this slight lack of finesse on the finish, it's nice and smooth to the touch. So don't be too put off by, it looks kind of scuffy, you know what I mean? But don't be too put off by that, because I don't think that's necessarily going to show when you've painted it up. Once it's got primer and paint on there, I think it'll be absolutely great. Plenty of little vents and gills and grills here, look. I think that's pretty good. Certainly better than I was anticipating. And then we've got the engine jet pipes at the back. And I mean the detail in terms of the panel lines is really nicely engraved. I think that's rather good. Yeah, I'm genuinely more impressed than I thought I was going to be. Okay, well that's good. Next, let's draw you back a bit. Next we've got all the sort of stores, tanks, stores, weapons, air-to-air missiles, etc. It is a little bit flashy, you'll see this when I zoom you in. It's not like a modern ICM kit in that respect. The tool is just a touch flashy here and there, but not, you know, not 1970s Airfix, don't worry. Yeah, so we've got our main gear and our nose wheel here. We've got our tanks, very slender looking tanks, aren't they? And then there's a centerline tank, which is the most peculiar shape, I suppose, for aerodynamics there. That's quite nice, but actually the fine parts are quite nicely moulded. They're actually look quite exquisite and detailed, don't they? Those legs for the main gear on the left and nose gear here. That's nice. And on this side we've got fins for the various tanks and things. Well, that's alright actually. Got the pylons. I said it was flashy, but actually it's more on the mould, on the actual sprue, than on the parts. Just a hint of it, tiny hints of it here and there. Places like just on this fin here, I don't know if you can make it out on camera, just on the edge of the fin a little bit flashy, but not a problem. Quick swipe of a sanding stick and I think that'll be absolutely fine, to be honest. So that's nice. And then finally, well not finally because we've got the clear parts, we'll do them last. Yeah, you can see it's a bit of a delicate sprue, it's a bit Matchbox style this actually, or maybe even Airfix. Because this is actually departing here, these are not connected anymore. So here you got your vertical stabiliser plus the rudders, and they're not movable obviously. 70 seconds, I suppose we can really expect that. But again, the panel lining and the way it's the detail there, the engraved panel lines is really nice. I think this kit is much better than I was anticipating. I think it's going to get a better rating than I thought it would. Because I thought it was going to be a bit too old school for my liking, but it seems fairly decent. I think with a little bit of work here and there, probably around that nose area is going to give you the most problem with the seam. It's not brilliant, but I mean even the seat for a 72nd scale seat, I mean we've seen those Matchbox kits and they come with a seat with absolutely zero detail on it. This one's got belts on it and it's got details in the headrest, you can see there. That's quite cool. There's your FOD covers, and you've got a little bit of gear bay there, detail on the right. And then we've got the intakes here. Yeah, I mean I've not built it, so I reserve, you know, as I always say, you can only give an inbox review rating, it's not an overall rating. When you, somebody like myself comes on and gives you the feedback when they've built the kit, that's really the final review rating, I think. Anybody like me who just looks at them in the box like this, you're only really getting the first half of the story. What it looks like in the box and what it builds like are often completely different. But so far I think that's actually looking nicer than I anticipated, and ICM are not bad kits at all. I mean the new ones are excellent. I mean they're really up there with Tamiya, some of them. And the Foxbat was good, the Cobra helicopter, what's the other one? The Bronco. There's been so many recently, haven't there? Is it the Invader? There's been a lot of interesting aircraft. Right, here's the clear parts. Now then, a little bit of scuffing on this one. I don't know if that's the mould or whether it's just handling. Let's have a look. Now let's see if we can get a bit closer. Right in the centre there's like a bit of a scuff mark, sort of dead centre here. Don't know if that's picking up on the camera across. Yeah, you can see it there I think there. Yes, that's a little bit of scuff, but that will polish out I think. I think that's handling actually, I don't think it's the mould. I think it's on the outside. So I think it's just rubbed on something prior to going in its bag. It's been rubbed against another sprue or something. And then you've got your windscreen, front windscreen here, which is just very straightforward. It doesn't have any framework in the middle of it. I think that's quite nice actually. I don't see any problems with that. I said there's a bit of a scuff on this, but I think that'll polish out in about 10 seconds to be honest. Maybe a very fine polishing sanding stick and or maybe some of that medium to fine Tamiya polishing compound, which I use. Very good stuff actually. And there we have it. Well, I have to say, don't be too damn big for this because I was expecting it to be a bit of a disappointment, but actually it's not. It's really rather nice. So yeah, I think that one or two of the things I've heard about it were a bit unkind perhaps. However, some of the people that are making these comments may have built it, so I have to be careful what I say. Anyway, that's the Ghost of Kyiv Mig-29. from ICM, and I have to say, hats off to them for doing it. Some people say it's opportunist and stuff like that, but I guess, you know, given what they've been under, you can't really blame them. And obviously some of the proceeds go to a good cause. So I think I'm going to give it. I think I have to be objective about the kit, you know, and just give that a rating. But it's better than I expected. I think I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. I think 9 out of 10. And in terms of the overall package, it's almost a 10 out of 10, because I do laud their what they've done with it. It's very good. And it's an interesting story. However true it is, we'll probably never know, but there we go. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10 overall, I think, and hope you agree. And yeah, it's not an expensive kit, so it costs I think it was about £22 or thereabouts, including postage. So I think that's pretty good value, and I think you can build that up. Just watch that nose. Well, I think you build that into a really nice Mig. I think it'll look really, really cool. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber and regular follower of the channel, make sure you ding the notification bell. And they've got another thing now. Is it a second type of notification or alert? And some people, quite a few people have been saying, didn't know you were on and I'm not getting alerts. YouTube have been making a lot of changes, so it's probably to do with that. I don't know why they keep doing this, but even I've noticed it when I've not got alerts as well. So I know it's not the fault of my subscribers. Something has been altered and people are not getting told until the show is already half on. It's happened to me, so I have more sympathy now. I take back what I said previously. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found it interesting. Certainly kit you might want to consider, and until next time, thank you very much for joining me, and take care of yourselves, and bye for now.